I am well rested and ready for a fantasy football draft, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go ahead. We are going to be hopping in Best Ball Mania. I want to point out how freaking crazy this is. Best Ball Mania has been what, live for a week? If that, I don't even know if Best Ball Mania has been live for a week, but nonetheless, in about a week, 32,000 entrants in this one tournament. Literally, and not even including any of the other tournaments on Underdog. 32,000 in Best Ball Mania. This is the largest tournament they have. The $25 buy-in, $15 million prize pool. Super flat payout structure, which I love. $1.5 million for first, $750,000 for second, $500,000 for third place, $400,000 for fourth place, $300,000 for fifth. I believe the top 20 places each get $100,000. So we are going to get in here. I don't care about what 20th place pays, to be honest. For me personally, it doesn't make a difference. For you, maybe it does. But the reason it doesn't make a difference for me is I'm getting first. I'm getting the 1.5 million. I've already determined it. But maybe if you want to take a shot for 20th or something, you do you. But thank you again for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be in here at pick 2. I already know what we're doing in round 1. Beyond that, I'm clueless, but we will figure it out together. But thank you again, ladies and gentlemen, for stopping by this fine Sunday. Loop says, is Mason late again? Are you kidding me? Man, you think I'm late? I said I was going to go live at 9 p.m. Eastern. When did we go live? 9 p.m. Eastern. What kind of joke is that? Come on, my guy. Elias says, can you do a $10 draft so I can get in one with you? We will get in a $10 eliminator draft very, very soon, my friend. Trog in here. We got Big Bro Joe in here at pick 8. Manu's asking if we were going to go Waddle pick 2. I don't want to tip my hands here, my friend, because technically there is one person ahead of us at 1. So maybe Waddle at pick 2. Let's see what the team in front of us does. Morgan says, let's go. I won $500 in Underdog last season using Mason's strategy. What Morgan means by this is Morgan watched all our streams last year and went, okay, this is what this clown's doing. Let's do the opposite. And it typically has been a profitable move. But thank you. Congrats on the success last year. We're going to go ahead. I was taking CeeDee Lamb as my top dog. I'm going to go CeeDee Lamb 101 this year. It is so scary. So CMC is the big reason we won the $150,000 on Underdog 2 years ago. So obviously it's terrifying to take a stance and say I'm probably going to be underweight Christian McCaffrey, that I probably want to be taking these wide receivers at the top of round 1. I was honestly, even if Lamb went 1, I was going to go Tyreek over CMC. But I just think going wide receiver in round 1, specifically in Underdog drafts where we know that you are going to see wide receivers pushed up in the middle rounds, I think it gives us more flexibility in the middle rounds to go wide receivers, which is why if you go to flockfantasy.com and pull up our best ball rankings, you will see that I believe we have CMC down to like 4 or 5. Just because from what I've seen in drafts right now, I feel a lot more comfortable with my teams when we're going to go wide receiver 1. Another Mason soundbite says, Mason, are you picking Odell at 2? My friend, no, we are going to go Lamb, but it's because I have a sneaky suspicion that Odell may make it to us at 23. I have a sneaky suspicion, but happy to see all of y'all. Anthony in here at pick 6. Happy to see. I see we got OMG in here at pick 9 with us. And I think that's it in terms of everything that I know. Henry says, you should take a few CMC, though. Maybe not right now. Maybe when ADP shifts and you think you can get a solid wide receiver in round 2 or later. Yes, I most likely should, my friend. I agree with you. It is probably going to be a year of pain if we decide not to take Christian McCaffrey at all. But Puka goes ahead of Breece Hall here, which, Jamar Chase falls down to pick 7. What's the Chase ADP? Aim to Cheese took him. Chase ADP of 4, he falls down to 7 in this draft. You're not going to see that very often. So typically what happens, say like if hypothetically I'm pick 7, I'm pick 8, and I'm in a random draft where someone that goes inside the top 4 picks makes it to me at like pick 7 or 8. what I'm typically doing on the way back around with my second round pick is I'm going to be taking whoever's at the top of ADP. That way I can hopefully have the most unique combination that not many people are able to replicate, right? Say hypothetically you get a player that has an ADP of 4 in round 1, and you get an ADP of, for round 2, a player that has an ADP of 13. If you look at the overlap between those two players in the overall context of the tournament, the ownership percentage may be extremely low. Now, of course, a Best Ball Mania is going to be going all off season, so the ADPs here are going to change around a lot, and maybe this isn't the best example to use that tournament in. But see, like Aim to Cheese, he's on the clock. He doesn't have any crazy ADP values here. So, I mean, it's not an easy spot to know what to do. But goes Olave at 18. But Shane says, took your advice and traded Jacobs in a third for London and Dynasty. Love to see it, my friend. What do you say A.J. Brown is worth in terms of draft picks? If it's going to be a super flex format, my friend, I'd be putting A.J. Brown around pick 6. This pick 6 was where you're going to have Rome. I think Brown should be a little bit ahead of Rome. So maybe you put A.J. Brown at like the 105. If it is a 1 quarterback league, I'd be going A.J. Brown around the 102 to 103. Depends if it's super flex or 1 quarterback, of course. Okay. We have Devontae Adams making it down to 20. So yeah, we are pretty low on Devontae Adams in our rankings if you check him out. And we're going to go Nico Collins here at 23. And just full transparency, when we go Nico Collins at 23, I'm not a big fan of the Houston values in this range, but it's because we potentially have the double stack with the Houston Texans, where if we can go Collins and Diggs here in the turn, I think we'd be pretty excited. And if this team snipes us on Diggs, it is what it is. I actually have Diggs ranked ahead of Nico Collins, but if you look at the ADP, Nico Collins 23.5, Diggs 25.5. So that it was a little more likely that if we wanted this Houston stack on the turn, the most likely way we got it was to go Collins then Diggs. Okay. Kaysen says, what are your thoughts on taking Lamb or CMC, pick 1 full PPR? So the thing is, if you're in like a casual redraft league and you're not in like one of these hardcore underdog drafts. Okay, so Stephon Diggs goes. That kind of blows here. We could reach on Waddle, or we can just take Deebo Samuel. ADP wide receiver 14. It is what it is. I do not love this start that we have through the first 3 rounds. If I'm looking at this team and I knew we were not going to get Stephon Diggs on the way back around in round 3, I'm probably not taking Nico Collins at pick 23. I don't know who I'm taking in that instance, but it's probably not Nico Collins. Now, interesting to see that Travis Kelce goes off the board here at 29. So Kelce does have an ADP behind Laporta. In the majority of drafts, you will see Laporta go before Kelce. And Laporta was in play for me at the 2-3 turn in this draft. And the Real Bossman says, yo, Mason, when does Best Ball Mania fill up? Into July? So we're literally just looking at how fast these drafts are going, my friend. And I mean, it's on pace to, yes, it's going to fill incredibly fast. But the thing is, the reason Underdog didn't make Best Ball Mania massive, I'm sure Underdog, if they wanted, of course, I haven't talked to them about this. I have no idea. I'm just pulling numbers out my butt. But I'm sure if they wanted, they could have possibly put Best Ball Mania like a $30 million prize pool, something freaking nuts, right? Because Underdog last year was $15 million prize pool. This year it's $15 million. But I think they want to have significantly more tournaments with a lot of variety. So I think now that they're seeing that like there are almost 40,000 drafts kicking off in 1 week, what they're probably going to end up, I mean, just in Best Ball Mania alone, they're probably just going to be firing more tournaments, like $5 puppy tournaments, and imagine eliminator tournaments, maybe things that look like weekly limits. I don't know. I'm just speculating here. So I think we're probably going to see a bunch of different Underdog tournaments soon. And of course, I probably should have said this at the top, but just in case you're confused, just in case you don't know what's going on, don't know where you've been, probably living under a rock. But yeah, it's Underdog Fantasy. Best ball, no time commitment at all during the year. It's how I draft hundreds of teams every offseason. And yeah, it's how I won $150,000 on Underdog 2 years ago. And if you want to hop in a draft with us, we are drafting every single night at 9 p.m. Eastern. And you can find that link in the description, in the comment section. It's available in pretty much every state. I mean, you can see the map here. It is not available in Louisiana, Nevada, Washington, Michigan, and I think one of those states is Idaho. I think one of those states is Montana. I'm not a geography expert. I'm an idiot, so I wouldn't be able to tell you, but you can see the map. And yeah, if you want to hop in, code FLOCK will get you a 100% deposit match up to $100 so you can get some free money. And on top of that, you will get access to flockfantasy.com where you can find all our best ball rankings, which you can use in these drafts. You can get all our dynasty rankings over there. And yeah, also if you use code FLOCK, you're going to get hooked up with a special NBA pick'em. I think tonight's is actually Jamal Murray's more than less than half a total point. It's just whatever day you sign up for Underdog with code FLOCK. It's going to be whatever the big NBA game is that night. So I think last night it would have been Luka Doncic more than less than half a total point. But I think tonight it's actually Anthony Edwards. Okay. Austin says, Kyron almost around 3 in my draft. It's crazy. I would have never. Oh, what's really interesting to see is the team that takes Travis Kelce here at pick 29. You assume that they do that so they can set themselves up with the ability to possibly go Patrick Mahomes at 44. And A-Rod here with no Chief stack decides to take Patrick Mahomes at 43 to leapfrog Trilly. I mean, obviously, you take Mahomes, you can still grab Rice. You can still grab Worthy. You can still grab Hollywood. So you still have a ton of different options of Chiefs wide receivers that you can draft. It's just kind of funny to see how that played out. But let's move this around. So far, we have started this draft off with 3 receivers straight. We have Lamb, Nico Collins, and Deebo Samuel. George Pickens goes 45. What was the ADP of Pickens? Not too bad. We're going to go ahead. We are going to take Zay Flowers. Now, I'd imagine by taking Zay Flowers here at 47, we are going to lose the ability to take CJ Stroud. I'd imagine that this team here that took Stephon Diggs at the 2-3 turn, they end up going CJ Stroud to stack with Stephon Diggs, which, obviously Stroud's definitely a target of ours when we go Nico Collins at the 2-3 turn, but there are going to be a ton of Nico Collins, CJ Stroud teams in this tournament. And I think it's a great value on Zay Flowers at pick 47. Typically, we know we want to be high on year 2 wide receivers that were good prospects and had good rookie seasons. But we get lucky enough where we have CJ Stroud making it to us in round 5. So we're going to be pairing up Zay Flowers and CJ Stroud on the turn, going with a 0 RB team. We have 4 wide receivers at the gate, and then what hopefully is an elite level quarterback in Stroud. We have Lamb, Nico, Deebo, Zay, CJ, and then obviously with the Stroud Nico stack. But Caliber says 12-team Superflex start 10. Got offered Lawrence, Najee, Kamara for Lamar. What are we going to do? Oh, I'm going to go Lamar easily, my friend. We have the Zay and Andrew stack with Lamar, but really need a running back. Yeah, a year from now, Najee, Harris, and Kamara in Dynasty is literally a 0. So, yeah, I think you go Lamar relatively easily there, my friend. Okay. So let's move this over. Mason says, how's the training going? Really good, actually. Yesterday, we hit an hour-and-a-half bike and then a 2-hour run. So we biked, I believe, 31 miles and ran 14. And yeah, the past 2 weeks, this week we did, I think, a total of 21 and a half hours of biking, swimming, running. So this week, I think, was probably the best week training of my life. Hence, we don't have the daily videos right now. But we actually have a deload week for this upcoming week. So maybe we can get y'all a few more videos this week. Trog says, what's the point of stacking? So if you are looking to stack, essentially, the easiest way I can describe it, there's a bunch of math. We've made in-depth videos breaking down the math of stacking and why it's advantageous as well. But as a brief introduction, how we can explain stacking is we understand in fantasy football, whether or not it's in an underdog tournament or in your regular fantasy football, just 12-team league. It doesn't matter. It's all the same. It doesn't matter if it's your redraft league, your best ball team, or your dynasty team. Stacking is even more important in best ball, but it's going to apply to all assets of fantasy football. But essentially, you look at this, right? We take Nico Collins at pick 23 in this draft. When we take Nico Collins at pick 23, we are making an active, we are calling our shot. If we want to be the winner of this 12-team league, our early round picks, typically, they're going to need to be good, right? And we understand that if you don't get first place, if you don't get second place, you don't win money. So what we want to do is we want to be polarizing our range of outcomes. We want to make sure that we are correlating our team where when we hit one thing, like Nico Collins, say he returns value and he is better than where we drafted him or better than where his ADP is, it's more likely that CJ Stroud's going to do the same. If Nico Collins disappoints where his ADP is, it's more likely than not that CJ Stroud will also disappoint compared to his ADP. So if you create that correlation through your lineup, what you're going to do is you're going to kind of drift from the center of your league in expectations and median projection. And instead, you're going to be going to one way or another. If Houston does end up being a top 3 offense in terms of passing yards, passing touchdowns, then hell, we're hitting on both guys. Then at that point, we are hopefully trending towards being the top dog in this league. Whereas obviously, if say CJ Stroud gets hurt, we're probably already lost because we already drafted Nico Collins anyway, right? So we want to make sure that we are polarizing our outcomes. We are trying to get first or last. I don't care about anything in between. Okay, we are a pick away here. Brian Thomas Jr. goes a couple different options. We can take Rashee Rice, where if Rice is not suspended, he is a clear, massive value here. Or we can decide to pivot, go George Kittle, and get the correlation with Deebo Samuel. So I think we're going to go Kittle and potentially set ourselves up with the Brock Purdy, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle double stack. And we'll see what happens on the way back around. I don't know if we would have taken... I think on this build, if we don't have Deebo Samuel, we go Rashee Rice. If we have Deebo Samuel, we go George Kittle. Now you see Rashee Rice, Evan Ingram both off the board at this point of the draft. Some people would reach on Dak to stack with CeeDee Lamb. I think that there's a shot we get Dak Prescott on the way back around, so I'm not super interested in making that reach. I know a lot of people want David Montgomery here. Not super interested in that either. We'll let it run off on Montgomery because I have no idea what else to do. The issue with Montgomery and how I'm viewing him this next season is obviously this is going to be a running back that has a role in Detroit, right? I mean, nobody's going to think, even if I love Gibbs, I don't think Gibbs coming out and touching the ball 25 times a game. He's not Christian McCaffrey. But if we continue to see the red zone usage that Gibbs had at the end of last season, then all of a sudden you're looking at Gibbs getting everything as the receiver, getting everything inside the red zone. So Gibbs getting every single high value touch. And even if Montgomery has a role, he's getting the meaningless touches inside the 20-yard lines. So, I mean, cool. David Montgomery goes out there. He gets 11 carries, 1 target, 0 red zone opportunities. And then you're looking at what? 8 fantasy points? 7.5 fantasy. Well, it doesn't really move the needle. So if that's the case, what we're looking at is like, Alvin Kamara back in the day. Mark Ingram has a role, but Mark Ingram's not exciting in fantasy. You're looking at Aaron Jones back in the day. Yes, Jamal Williams has a role with Aaron Jones, but Jamal Williams isn't exciting in fantasy. That's the concern with David Montgomery. Obviously, also we saw him be an extremely strong RB1 at the beginning of last season before Gibbs broke out. And with Montgomery, you can make the argument that if Gibbs were to go down, he's probably the most premium handcuffed running back in fantasy, given the offensive line, given the offense, given Montgomery's talent as well. So, I don't know. It's an interesting spot. The Pound, yes, sorry, my man. We did not get Waddle here. I wanted it, sent up a prayer for it, but it did not work out. Did not. Mev says Team 4 needs receivers. What is Team 4 rocking with? Team 4 went, I'm assuming you're trolling here. St. Brown, Evans, Metcalf. I will say, I mean, I know we've talked about this before. It does really seem like, at least in my mind, after the Barkley-Taylor range, like after the beginning of round 2, I think starting in like middle of round 2 all the way until like middle of round 4, it feels like all these players are about the same. So I never want to come out here and have a super strong take saying, oh, Mike Evans is horrible at pick 21. Or, oh, Devon Achan's horrible at 22. Nico Collins is horrible at 23. So when I'm on the clock here, I have no idea who to take. They don't feel great. They all feel about the same. But yeah, I will say I'm probably not taking a lot of Mike Evans. Mike Evans is going to be going to pick 21 this year, even though Mike Evans perpetually prints money in fantasy football. Simon says, I think Zamir is going to have a very nice year. I mean, obviously, Zamir White kind of wins the offseason if you're looking at what the Raiders do. I don't know if I'm just a salty guy. I don't know why I have Zamir White take lock. I look at Zamir White and I think coming out of Georgia, okay, it's a running back that didn't really catch the ball. It was never super efficient at the NFL. I don't see a lot of strong points for Whites. Typically, like those day 3 backs that haven't proven anything at the NFL level, and then all of a sudden they like look like, because the running back in front of them's out of town, that they're potentially sliding in as the starter, but they haven't shown anything. Those are the guys that I'm typically out on. Like, I don't know if I'm going to be drafting a lot of Zamir White. I understand if you're a Zamir White fan where you're coming from. I understand why you would be excited about him. Alexander Madison's in Las Vegas. I mean, but obviously it's hard to get excited about Madison either. Okay, so David Njoku off the board, 91. The thing with White, too, is like, I'll be more so scared fading a player that I think is going to be in a top offense. But I'm not sitting here thinking the Raiders are going to score a ton of points. So the team that got sniped on the Mahomes-Kelsey stack ends up taking Dak from us. Dak would have been an auto pick if Dak would have made it to us at 95. Like, I wouldn't have thought twice about it. So if we're looking at potential stacks here with quarterback, we could reach on Purdy, right? And set ourselves... Oh, Jonathan Brooks was our pick. Oh, dear God. Now, the full-blown panic, full-blown tilt mode, ladies and gentlemen. We were hoping for Jonathan Brooks. I was probably going to roll the dice and see if we can get Brock Purdy on the way back around. Actually, did this team take Ayuk? That team didn't take Ayuk. The thing is, I have no idea who else I want. The next guy I'd want, I'm probably reaching on. So... yeah, maybe make the argument, okay, there's a team between you. They don't have Ayuk. They're probably... actually, they have CMC. Hell, they could go Brock Purdy. I'm going to reach on Purdy. We're going to get our double stack with Debo Kittle. We'll move on. Javonte goes. So quarterback's no longer in play. We're only drafting 2 QBs with this team. I want to take 3 tight ends, so I'm not taking Bowers. I don't care about Mostert. Benson or Nick Chubb? Spam the chat. I know y'all are going to hate this regardless. Benson or Nick Chubb? Spam the chat. Let me know what you want. Neither running back will probably be strong at the beginning of the year. Kind of drafting them, seeing if they have upside in weeks 15, 16, 17. Okay, the first 2 were Chubb. Chubb, Benson, Chubb, Benson. Chubb, Benson, Chubb. Yeah, so those look like most people were going Chubb here. Or it was split 50-50. I have no idea, to be honest with you. If you look at what they do in Cleveland, it's not like they go out there and say, oh, yeah, Nick Chubb has no shot at making it back. Nick Chubb's toast, blah, blah, blah. Let's bring in a bunch of running. But now, I mean, they don't really address the position. Obviously, Nick Chubb coming off a significant injury at an older age. There's a ton of risk. There's, God knows if there's upside. I mean, we want to say there's upside, but who knows? But at the end of the day, it's priced in. He's going pick 98. The issue, too, though, is with these players that could potentially end up on the PUP, is a lot of times when we're drafting in May, when we're drafting in June, everybody understands the only thing that we need to be caring about is week 15, 16, 17. But then as we get closer to week 1, when we're in drafts in August, when we're in drafts in September, these guys like Nick Chubb that are probably not going to be doing much early in the season, all of a sudden they start falling in drafts considerably. So you can make a strong argument that even if you like drafting Nick Chubb this year, if you think that there's a chance he misses the beginning of the season, that you should just be waiting until closer to the year and you can be drafting him at a lower price, which is a strong possibility. Maybe that's the argument that we should have for Trey Benson. But I don't know. Okay. The Real Boss Man says, I don't know how Jameson's ADP is so high. I've never gotten... I mean, if you want to make an argument, the argument's now that Reynolds is gone. Jameson's the wide receiver 2 on this depth chart. But I mean, the argument I've always said for Jameson, it's less applicable to Underdog, of course, when it's best ball and you are just chasing spike weeks. But those vertical field stretching wide receivers, a lot of times they're just not going to see the target share where they're going to make a big time difference in fantasy. And instead, they more so project to help an NFL offense rather than help your fantasy team. Andy says, would you have gone Javonte there? I think Javonte would have for sure been in play. Now that I talk through and think about how Chubb's ADP is probably going to look 3 months from now or 2 months from now, I don't know how long we have drafts. I think if we are on the clock again and we have the decision between Javonte and Nick Chubb, we probably should go ahead and we probably should go Javonte. Okay. So to pull this around, it's going to be a team where we're only going to take 2 quarterbacks. If somehow we take a third quarterback, it's going to be in round 17, round 18, right? So I don't want to say that we're for sure not taking another, but if we decided to, it wouldn't be for quite some time. So we're looking at running back, tight ends, receiver. If we wanted to go Dalton Schultz, that would get us the double stack with CJ Stroud as well. The question is, if we decide to go with Dalton Schultz, whether that's at 119 or 122, can we stop with the pairing of Kittle and Schultz? And the answer to that question is I have no freaking idea. I am probably going to get sick. Okay, God, this is just such a fish move. I'm going to take, am I really going to do it? Someone talk me out of it for the love of God. Okay. Andy says, Gus, my monkey brain wants me to go Dallas Goedert here. And my monkey brain is trying to convince me that if we go Goddard and Kittle, it's enough tight end firepower where we only have to draft 2 of them. Now, with that being said, anybody that has a brain more developed than a monkey will probably tell you to go Dalton Schultz because these 2 guys should project similarly from week to week perspective. You have Stroud. You've already made the bet that the Texans offense is at the top of the league in terms of their passing volume. So we should triple down on that bet. We should take Dalton Schultz, which I'm going to show the mental discipline and I'm going to do. Okay. I want y'all to take note of what just happened here. And I'm not going to lie. That was painful. It was mentally tough, mentally challenging. And I'm surprised we survived it. I wanted to go through and I wanted to take someone that perpetually loses money for us. For whatever reason, I as an adolescent, I guess, I bought the story, I bought the dream that Dallas Goedert was a very good tight end, that Dallas Goedert's a great tight end. Just like for whatever reason, I bought the dream that George Kittle is still a good tight end, and I took George Kittle at the 6-7 turn. And I'm sitting there wanting to light this Best Ball Mania entry on fire, wanting to light our $25 on fire by taking Dallas Goedert just because our lizard brain is telling us he's good at football. But instead, we powered through. I took someone that my lizard brain never lets us draft, or at least never let us draft in Baltimore for whatever reason. Touchdown scoring machine, Gus Edwards. We took Edwards. We took Schultz. We took a deep breath. And hopefully we are better for it. Yes. And Drew, I would say, says, nice job, Flock. You helped Mason with this team. Yes. Honestly, y'all saved me. Except, and I mean this with my entire heart, except when Dallas Goedert is tight end 2 next year, we look back and run the numbers and we said, oh my gosh, we could have won Best Ball Mania if we didn't take this bum Gus Edwards. Then Andy B, Chris, Gene, let's see who else. Ben, you all will be sued for $1.5 million. Y'all can split it together. I don't care if y'all want to split it evenly. I don't care if, Ben has a professional looking photo here. He actually has a picture of him. So I'm going to assume that Ben's maybe the high roller out of the group. I don't care if Ben wants to pay the $1 million. Andy, Chris, Gene, y'all can figure out the $500K within yourselves. I don't want to go through and try to break out the calculator for y'all. I'll add y'all to a little group chat in Discord and y'all can figure it out. But my lawyers will be contacting you. All right. But Evan says, Mason, you all right? My girl says you're looking a little down today. All love. Can you tell her to FaceTime me after I'm done with the stream, my guy? Or better yet, you know what? Tell her after I stream, we'll meet at the spot and we'll go 10:30 Eastern. 10:30 Eastern, my friend. Please, if you could be a pal, a little old pal, and pass the note over to her. Would appreciate it. Okay. Now, let's move this over. We are not taking quarterback. Oh, Zach Charbonnet would have been a dream for this team. Oh, I would have done a flip if we could have somehow taken the backup running back for the Seattle Seahawks. But that is not an option. Charbonnet does go. So, yes. Sticky Ricky, Slicky Ricky, Ticky Ricky, Dicky Ricky. I don't care what you want to call him. He may or may not be on the inbound, ladies and gentlemen. Blake Corum goes, so we're going to go with Sticky Ricky here to go with the full-blown Niners onslaught. We're going to go with George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Sticky Ricky, Trey Lance for the or never mind. Brian says, 12-team Superflex start 9. I'm a true contender. Just want to improve my running back to as cheap as possible. Who should I target at what price? We have 3 2025 first. If I'm moving a 2025 first, I at minimum need like Jonathan Taylor. I need Saquon Barkley. There's no way in hell you're trading a 2025 first for like Alvin Kamara and Nick Chubb. Please do not do that. This team takes a 6th running back on a CMC build. So, of course, the one team that I decided to go 0 RB with, we got someone in our draft taking 6 RBs. 7 RBs. Okay, they're reaching on these guys, though, so maybe it's not going to impact us too much. We're going to take Xavier Legette. I don't think this guy's any good. Took him 5 years to break out in school. But he's a round 1 rookie that we're getting in round 13. And he has a clear path to be the wide receiver 1 in a bad offense. So we're going to go Legette 146. And we are going to move our little butts on, ladies and gentlemen. So let's send up a prayer here that we will have some running backs falling back to us. I actually really like this team. If somehow, some way, we can find some RBs. From a roster construction perspective, I think we did well, okay? I think we did well. We're hitting our stride. We have at wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb, Nico Collins, Deebo Samuel, Zay Flowers, Sticky Ricky, and Xavier Legette. Quarterback, we have CJ Stroud double stacked with Nico Collins and Dalton Schultz. Brock Purdy, we have triple stacked with Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, and Sticky Ricky. Running back, of course, this is going to be the issue that we're looking at. We have David Montgomery, Nick Chubb, Gus Edwards holding down the fort. So, a couple different options of what we can do here, ladies and gentlemen. This could be a very unique build. We can go with there are two options, I think. No matter what, we are only drafting 2 quarterbacks at this point. When we're this bad at running back, we're only drafting 2 QBs. Unless, like, it's an absurd value somewhere. So our options. 1, I would say the more standard approach, 2, 6, 7, 3. 2, if we want to get a little wild, especially maybe at like rounds 14, 15, there are no running backs that we like making it to us. If we want to get gross, if we want to say something's going to win it that hasn't won it before, I've never come into a draft with this plan, but if this is the way the board falls, maybe we go 2, 7, 7, 2, which would be disgusting. Now, Dobbins goes 156. It is funny how many Chargers running backs we have getting drafted. I need to make a video diving into the backfields that, like, there are a few backfields that we know this season that they will be good offenses. They will have trips to the red zone. There will be touchdown opportunities, but all of their RB1s are extremely cheap just because nobody knows who the guy is. Like, if you're looking at the Chargers and if you're looking at Dallas, if out of any team here, let's do this in the chat. Please spam the chat. If you could get a crystal ball, you could look 12 months into the future, or I guess you didn't know that. You don't need to go that far. 9 months into the future. And you can look at the amount of touches for every backfield. Like the backfield opportunity breakdown. What is your team? I think mine is Los Angeles. I think mine's the Chargers. But if you could look into that crystal ball and figure out one team, what are you asking for? Troy Franklin fallen like a rock as a day 3 rookie probably should be. We have no option but to go through and start swinging on some handcuff backs here. We're going to take Tyler Algier. Last year, 200 touches. The year prior, 200 touches. Obviously, no Arthur Smith. Maybe you say that this team figures it out and they give the ball to Bijan Robinson, but still. Okay, so yeah. Chargers, Niners, Eagles. Ooh, interesting call there. Detroit, Vikings. I don't hate the Vikings call. Packers, Chargers, Detroit, Steelers. Chicago's an interesting one too, because Chicago, you need to figure out who the RB2 is. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take Antonio Gibson. Coaching staff's not like they're all in on Ramondre Stevenson. Gibson's a running back that last year, 50 receptions. You could see him having a role as a receiving back day 1, and then upside for more if you were to get an injury to Ramondre Stevenson. So let's go ahead. Let's pull the trigger. Taji says, have you ever played in a pipeline/Devy league? I played in a Devy league. I think I was in a Devy league from maybe 2018 through 2020 or 2021. I was in a Devy league until the year that I had to cut out all leagues that weren't flock leagues. Whenever that year was. But, okay, what is this? Mason Dodd. Is this the same account with the different profile pic? Dante Miller by the Giants is a league winner. Okay, let's figure this out, my guy. Who is this guy and where is he going? Okay, I don't even know. Am I an idiot? Who is Dante Miller? Who is Miller? Okay, let's move this around. Khalil Herbert goes 173. Can I spam the chat? Who would you rather have? Would you rather have Herbert or Miller? I'm sorry, not Herbert or Miller. Herbert or Roshan. So I know I've said this before, but I think the Bears are all out on Khalil. I don't think they have any appeal with them. Oh, yeah, and also, if you have not hit that like button, drop a like. If we hit 300, we will fire up another draft after this, ladies and gentlemen. But you got Herbert, Rowe, Herbert, Rowe, Herbert. My thought process with Khalil Herbert, maybe I've said this too many times on live streams already, but Jeep guy, happy to see you, my guy. I know Khalil Herbert's look good, but ultimately this is a running back that looked good. And what did the Bears decide to do? They decided to go out there, draft Roshan Johnson round 3, sign Deonta Foreman, and then give DeAndre Swift a ton of money. Khalil Herbert looked good, and then the Bears brought in 3 running backs. I think the Bears have moved on. I don't know. But obviously, Herbert's looked better at the NFL level than Roshan ever has. Maybe I'm just biased. Took Lawrence. Bean salad going for Jeep guys. Throat here. How high are we drafting Darren Waller this season? Ooh, brutal. I hate that y'all change y'all's picks to me. Anybody that's new coming into this live stream is going to think that we have a bunch of bots watching. That's what it looks like. Especially if this is the messages that are being sent. Oh, dear God. Marvin Mims off the board, 182. Let's move this around. So like I said, I think our options, we're going to take 7 receivers with this team no matter what. I think this is a 7 wide receiver build. More likely than not, it's going to be a 2, 6, 7, 3. Probably taking 3 tight ends, 6 running backs, 7 receivers. But a lot of it's going to come down to who falls to us here. Dear God, Austin. That is pretty funny, I'm not going to lie. Adam Thielen goes 187. I was going to take Thielen relatively easily if he would have made it to us. I was going to have to ask if Adam Thielen was still with the Panthers. But, I mean, if we had the Thielen-Leggett correlation and sent up a prayer that Bryce Young ended up being good, I think that could have been interesting. Raphael says, Mason, how was your date yesterday? Date actually went pretty well. Okay, hear me out. God, I am a romantic, ladies and gentlemen. We went to a place in Austin. It's called Austin's. They have roller coasters, janky, like carnival roller coasters, like 2 of them. I don't want to hype it up too much. Putt-putt, go-karts, and laser tag. And we did all of them. So, pretty good night in my book. But now we are on the clock. Don't care about Luke McCaffrey. Don't care about Keaton Mitchell. Don't care about Tez Walker. Don't care about any of these guys. Ooh, cue up Wan'Dale. Okay, get Wan'Dale in here. I like Wan'Dale Robinson. I don't really have a strong reason to. I took him a lot last year. He didn't do anything for us. Obviously, he's 18th round pick. Unless your name's Puka or Kyron Williams. Not expecting much. Or I guess maybe Tank Dell at one point. Demario Douglas goes 192. Tez Walker goes. Okay. I'm not taking Keaton Mitchell. I refuse to do it. I refuse to take Keaton Mitchell. Even if it should be the pick. Out of principle, I'm not doing it. I will take Elijah Mitchell before I take Keaton Mitchell. We've seen Elijah Mitchell look good at the NFL level before. Now, is he still any good? Probably not. Did I draft this guy thinking that he was still going to get some touches alongside Christian McCaffrey last year? Possibly, maybe, but who's counting? Who's tracking? Not me, that's for sure. we will go ahead. We will take Elijah Mitchell. Mike says, why no Keaton Mitchell love? Wouldn't he eat if Derrick Henry goes down? One, I was super annoyed by all the Keaton Mitchell stuff last year. And two, let's pull up this Keaton Mitchell. Let's pull up Mr. Mitchell. Keaton Mitchell game. Okay, first let's address the fact that this is a running back that, well, I'll pull up his exact draft pick, exactly where he was drafted. Let's just not call him a day 3 guy. Keaton Mitchell. Okay. God dang it. Where is it? It says sources. Mitchell is projected to be selected in the 2023 NFL draft. He was also selected in the 4th round of the 2023 USFL draft. Okay, so Keaton Mitchell is an undrafted free agent. All right, let's get that just as a baseline, right? You can be an undrafted free agent and turn into freaking Austin Eckler, right? You can be a stud as an undrafted free agent, but let's set a baseline. Because 99% of undrafted free agents are going to turn into nothing. Once you proved us that you're good, cool. I'll buy into it. But what did Keaton Mitchell do last year? Game by game. First game that he was in, 1 reception, 0 carries. Second game, 9 carries, 1 reception. Third game, 3 carries, 1 reception. Fourth game, 8 carries, 1 reception. Fifth game, 9 carries, 2 receptions. Next game, 9 carries, 1 reception. Game after, 9 carries, 2 receptions. So Keaton Mitchell never proved that he could have a 3-down workload. He's a small running. He listed as 5'8", 191 pounds. So he's an undrafted free agent that never proved that he can handle a large workload, that's undersized, that just had a severe injury. Like, I have no interest in Keaton Mitchell. Now, clip this for when he turns into this next year's Kyron Williams. But Elijah Mitchell, we've seen be good in the NFL. Dameon Pierce, we've seen be good in the NFL. These guys aren't coming off significant injuries, you know. Caliber says Pacheco was the 7th rounder. Yeah, and Pacheco showed that he was good and can handle volume right away, you know. There's a big difference between Pacheco and Keaton Mitchell. Keaton Mitchell's never showed anything. So until you show me something, I ain't buying. Especially when you're coming off a significant injury. Especially when Derrick Henry's in front of you. Okay. Now, we're done a wide receiver. We're running back or tight end. So our running back room consists of, sit down as I say this because I know you're going to freak out. I know you're going to be like, oh my gosh, Mason, how did you get away with this draft? This is criminal. You are a god at fantasy football, which I agree with you. I agree with you. Running back, David Montgomery, Nick Chubb, Gus Edwards, Tyler Algier, Antonio Gibson, Elijah Mitchell. So, yeah, this may be one of the very rare instances where we take 7 RBs. Naeem says Chubb's injury was worse. I agree with you, my friend. And we've also seen Nick Chubb be an elite level running back over a large stretch of games. I think there's a big difference between two. I think we take Braylon Allen. The issue with Allen and why you would make an argument against him is saying, okay, well, at the end of the day, Drake May's fallen as far. Bryce Young's, we can't take him. But you can make an argument with Braylon Allen. Okay, even if Breece Hall goes down with an injury, it's probably going to be a split backfield and we don't know who the starter is, which is a completely fair argument to make. And I don't have a counterpoint. But here's the squad. Wide receiver, Lamb, Nico, Debo, Zay Flowers, Sticky Ricky, Xavier Legette, Wan'Dale Robinson. Quarterback, we have CJ Stroud, double stacked with Nico Collins, Dalton Schultz. We have Brock Purdy, a full-blown Niners onslaught. We have Purdy, Debo, Kittle, Sticky Ricky, Elijah Mitchell. Tight end, we have Kittle, Dalton Schultz. And wide receiver, we're rolling with Lamb, Nico Collins, Debo Samuel. Running back, we have Montgomery, Nick Chubb, Gus Edwards, Tyler Algier, Antonio Gibson, Elijah Mitchell, Braylon Allen. But Appreciate you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Bean Salad says, I'll chop off my left ear if Keaton Mitchell turns into Kyron this year. So, bold statement there, my friend. But thank you again. Appreciate you. Hope you have a good day. And yeah, if you want to hop in a draft with us, find that link in the description, comment section. We're drafting on Underdog every single day till the season starts. And best ball, no time to commit all during the year. Available pretty much everywhere. Use code FLOCK. That way you get all the perks we talked about earlier. But appreciate you so damn much. And really hope we get to see that in live stream tomorrow night.